I will show you how you can use Spark for reading an XML. Before going to the details, first what you need to do is look at your profile and look at my screen. And if you look at my profile, you can see that I have the Spark home which is being declared, and I have got the Scala home which is also declared along with all the other variables, right? Please don't use the Cloudera virtual machine for that. Why? Because the Cloudera virtual machine is of little bit old version of Spark. I'm using the latest version. Okay, so if you go to my lib directory, and you can see that I'm using Scala 2.11, and I'm using Spark 2.1, right? You can see the other files, but I'm not using it. And how will you make sure that I'm not using it is if you go to CDH 545, where you have your links. You can see I'm referring to the Scala 2.11 and I'm referring to Spark 2.1, right? So install that Scala and Spark 2.1 if possible. And when you're installing Spark 2.1, make sure that all the Derby jar files and the Hive jar files are copied inside the lib folder of Spark. Otherwise, it will not coexist with your Hadoop version. So you have to go to, for example, go to this lib folder, and then you go to your Spark 2.1 version, right? And then if you look inside CD jars, you can see all sort of jar files here, and you can see your all DB Derby files will be there, which I have copied from the Derby directory, right? Similarly, you can see that I have copied the Hive files as well inside this particular file, right? So make sure that those files are copied inside the jars folder of your Spark installation, right? Now what you need to do is, let me go to my home directory, and what we will do is just let us double check our Scala version, right? So if I type here Scala version, you can see that it is 2.11.8, right? What we need to do is that, please look at this particular link, okay? In the GitHub, go to the GitHub and look at Databricks Spark XML. So Databricks is the company, as I mentioned to you, who is supporting Spark. They will be releasing so many additional packages to work with Spark, and for dealing with this particular Spark, what you need is you need to have this particular package installed, and it is very easy to install that package. Look, there are two commands. One is for Scala 2.10 and another is for 2.11. And as I have just shown you, our Scala is 2.11. So I am copying this particular command and I am starting the Spark shell. Okay. No need to put spark home/bin. As we have seen, you need to just type Spark shell and then you have to give this particular package. So let me start that one by giving the Spark shell command. So I'm going to run that particular command in this particular screen. So if you can see, I'm exactly copying that particular command, and you see it is for the Scala 2.11 version, and we are starting it. So whenever you want to use an additional package along with Spark shell, this is the trick. You have to give the corresponding Maven version, and it will download that particular version from the internet and will add it to your Spark shell, right? After that, what you need to do is that once everything is started, you should get successful, and once you see this particular message, the Scala prompt, that means it is ready for doing it, okay? And you can see that there is this Spark session available as Spark. So we mentioned to you that in the older version you have got Spark contest, but the new version it is Spark. So in 2.1.0, the difference is that whenever you are querying, you will not use SC, but you will be using Spark. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to open another command prompt to show you an XML file, okay? So please look at this particular directory, and in my home directory, I have got this is my home directory, and I have got a particular file called books.xml, and you can see that this XML file is a very simple XML file. Please understand one thing: the root of the file XML file is catalog. That is very important because we need this value later. So the root is catalog, right? And I'm coming out. Now let's start writing. What I'm going to do is, let's write a particular query, and the first query that we are going to write is, we are going to create a val in Scala which is having a value which is pointing to that particular file, which is books.xml. So please look at that line. Val input file, S indicates that it's a string, and it is the books.xml file. As you know, this will create an input file variable in Scala. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to write a command to load this particular one into Spark as an XML. And please read that command clearly. Val df equal to spark.read.format, the package name that you have imported. Then you are telling that your row tag is catalog, and as I mentioned to you, the catalog is nothing but the root of your input file, right? And what we are going to do is that we are going to use that particular command, and then we are going to create a variable called schema, right? So spark.read.format, row tag is catalog, and you are creating a variable called schema. And what is there inside the schema? The schema will contain the metadata of your XML. Please don't think that it will read the data. It is just reading the schema. Okay? Right. So the schema is created. Please look at that. It created an array with all the data inside your XML file. And remember, this is not the data. This is the schema. Now what we are going to do is we are going to use this particular schema and create the original data file. So this is the data frame, and you are passing your df schema as the parameter. The df schema is the variable that you just created on the top. Look at this. This is the df schema that you are passing as a parameter. And once you pass as a parameter, now you will have this df which will contain the data. Okay, so I'm pressing enter now. There is an error there. There is a type mismatch. Let me just check. Oh, right. So after creating the df schema, you have to create the schema like this. Df schema dot schema. Sorry. Yes, that's how you will create the schema. And then you have to use that particular command by passing in not df schema as a parameter, the schema as a parameter. So look at this. This is the schema. So first you created df, right? And then you created a df schema. And from df schema, you created the schema, and then you passed that schema as a parameter to your df, right? Now this data set is going to contain your data. And what we are going to do, you will tell Spark to store it as a temporary table. And how will you do that? This is the idea. df dot create, df is this variable. df dot create or replace temporary view, and let us store it as a my temporary table view, right? Press enter. So it created my temporary view, table. But remember, this my temporary table is staying in the memory. Now what we are going to do is, I am going to create an equivalent table in Hive, and let's call this particular table as Sharon table, because Sharon is the one who asked this question. Select star from my temp table. So my temp table is the memory table, okay? And from the memory table, now you are creating a physical table in Hive. Even though you are not giving anything related with Hive, by default, Spark will take Hive as the table, Sharon table, Hive as the data store, right? And let's see now what is happening. Doing something, 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 and then the Scala prompt came, and I'm coming out of my Spark now. Control D, right? So now I'm outside Spark. Let's now write Hive to start Hive, correct? And look at this, show tables. Beautiful. Look at that. Sharon table is now available. And now let us write a query. Select star from Sharon table. That's it. You got all the books data as an XML file and you stored it into Hive. Right? That's it. Enjoy. Thank you.